The US discovered that sanctioning China did not work because China has been able to manufacture its own 7nm microchip. Also, China is banning iPhone within China. We're going to get more details into that into this video. And the G20 began, and India has managed to pull off its positioning, at least on the text. Also, the G20 does have a framework ready for cryptocurrencies. And talking about sanctions, the US made sanctions Brazil and other countries in South America. Now, let's get straight into today's video. There's a lot for us to cover. As usual, we're going to begin with Bloomberg. And the main headline on Bloomberg is, of course, the agenda of the Prime Minister of India, which I mentioned to you guys on the video of yesterday, that he has a different agenda. And his agenda is to remove the narrative where Russia is the one that caused aggression on Ukraine, or not allowing the narrative to be villainizing Russia. You can see here, the latest text remove a reference to the aggression by the Russian Federation against Ukraine. And this demonstrates, of course, the power or the ability of the Prime Minister of India to bring all the emerging countries into the table and also bring them into a consensus. And the idea that he's trying to push on this G20 meeting is the idea that they are against the war or the consequences of war, but they are not against Russia. So they are against the sanctions, for instance, of the fertilizers of Russia imposed by the West, because this brings negative consequences to the poorer countries. So the narrative now is not against Russia, but against the war, on the consequences of war. And they're going to try to push agreements that will stop or at least diminish all the actions that are harming other countries, such as sanctions of fertilizers on Russia. And of course, in consequence, Russia is pretty much pulling off the grain deal. So they are trying to see if they can find out which actions can be taken to hurt the other countries or have the other countries less affected by the war. But they are not willing to have a narrative against Russia. Now, I think this is the most important news I'm going to report in this video. The US found a 7nm microchip on a Huawei phone manufactured in China. We can have it here. And remember, they have made a bill against TikTok in America, banning some products from China. I think there's a new Cold War now, and the Cold War has been about technology and data. And I think US, of course, has sanctioned some products of China on a bill that I think was last year called the TikTok bill. And of course, China is doing the same thing back to the US. I have mentioned on the video yesterday that China has banned its employees to bring any Apple product to any government building. So if you work for the government in China, you cannot bring any iPhone or any Apple product into the building of the government. And of course, this is a way for China to retaliate. Also, the US has been trying to ban or to sanction China or prevent China from having access to very high sophisticated microchips, because that will increase the efficiency of the missiles and allow China to have those microchips on their military is something, of course, that the US is very concerned about. Now, what they did is they have opened a phone from Huawei called Mate 60. Look at here. The Commerce Department, which enacted a series of restrictions against Huawei and China chip industry over the past 2 years, say that they're working to get more information on a purported 7nm processor discovered within the Mate 60 Pro, which is a new Huawei model. The chip was made by China's Semiconductor Manufacturing International Corp, which, like Huawei, blacklisted by the US and restricted from accessing American technology. And the thing is, not just the US is sanctioning those products, the other countries may be doing the same, countries such as Europe. Now let's play the video where they open the phone and find this microchip. And because, of course, this may be copyrighted, I'm not gonna play the audio, just gonna play the image to you guys. You can see here the phone. They sacrificed the Mate Pro, and what they found is the microchip, which is a 7nm, very sophisticated microchip, with US believed China could not have their hands on it. Not only China has their hands on it, but China has been able to manufacture their own microchip. This microchip is manufactured in China. Now the thing is, the US cannot manufacture this microchip on the ground. They have to be dependent on Taiwan. Now, another thing that I want to talk to you guys is about the possibility of the US sanctioning Latin American countries. Another video that I want to share with you guys is a video where Ted Cruz pretty much suggests that Biden administration is not following the protocol or the law because they have not sanctioned Argentina and Brazil for helping Iran. Let's look at the video.
Mr. Nichols, I'm deeply concerned that the Western Hemisphere is being overwhelmed by anti-Americanism, and that countries across the region are aligning themselves with our adversaries and our enemies. I'm deeply concerned that former U.S. allies are being replaced by leaders who are actively hostile to us and our interests, and that the Biden administration has chosen to embrace many of those leaders. President Biden warmly hosted Lula da Silva at the White House and called
Lula da Silva, for those who may not know, is the president of Brazil.
Called him a close friend. Lula is an anti-American Chavista who embraces the Chinese Communist Party, Vladimir Putin, and the Iranian regime. I'll note that President Biden has not extended the same courtesy to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and indeed the Biden White House has made clear that Israel's Prime Minister is not welcome in the Biden White House. Now, one of the very insidious ways that our adversaries and our enemies have infiltrated the region is through corruption. China, Russia, and Iran all exploit endemic corruption, including and especially corruption driven by left-wing movements to advance their geopolitical agendas. Congress, and specifically this committee, has recognized the importance of combating such corruption and have given you powerful tools, in particular under Section 7031C, sanction authorities. The Biden administration has used these sanctions repeatedly across the Western Hemisphere, but not, I'm dismayed to say, not against the left-wing anti-American communists who are aligning with Russia and China and Iran.
Of course, he's talking about BRICS, and I think in this case, it's specifically to Brazil.
Quite the opposite. Again, the Biden administration has looked the other way at malign behavior from such actors. I want to ask you why that is, and I want to start in particular with Argentina.
No, I don't want to get into Argentina. I want to get into the part of Brazil. So let me see if I can skip to that part now.
Action. We have robust
Does
anti-corruption
the state have an
programs.
obligation to comply with Congress's oversight?
We
I'm asking
absolutely
you
do.
why you're not following the law, and your answer is we don't answer that question.
Our answer is we don't publicly discuss pending sanctions actions.
Well, it's not pending. It's been sitting there for a long time. All right, let's shift to another example, Brazil. Bolsonaro, a pro-American leader, was replaced, to the Biden administration's cheering, with an anti-American radical Lula. And there is corruption likewise in the Lula government. In February, Lula allowed 2 of Iran's most advanced warships to dock in the port of Rio de Janeiro. The United States opposed that act, at least formally. In fact, the United States sanctioned those ships with what are supposed to be powerful designations, and yet it happened. I believe the Lula government's corruption played a significant role in their decision to ignore the Biden administration and allow the docking. Do you agree with that assessment? And has the Biden administration enforced any sanctions related to that instance, and in particular to the Brazilians providing material support to the Iranian ships?
The administration engaged our partners throughout the hemisphere.
So his answer is going to be, of course, very vague. He's not going to answer the question. But the thing is, there is a push. There is now animosity from the US towards Brazil and Brazil's action. And yes, Biden was very happy to see Bolsonaro replaced by Lula. And if you have been following me in Clubhouse, you must have seen a room, or myself heard a room, where I spoke about the false hopes that the West and most countries had on Lula. And Ted Cruz now is speaking to something that I have already predicted from before, So don't be surprised if in a year or a few months, the US begins to sanction Brazil or maybe Argentina or some other countries in South America. Because the thing is, the BRICS alliance, like it or not, it is an opposing force, geographical or political north. And of course, the alliance of Brazil with China and Russia will upset America. I think these are going to be the consequences of Brazilian act. Now, these are my views. What are your views? Please let me know on the comments below. So the thing is, there is a conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia from way before the invasion of Ukraine. And the thing is, Azerbaijan is receiving the help that has been promised by Turkey, and Armenia is supposed to be receiving some help from Vladimir Putin or Russia. The thing is, they allegedly saying that Russia is not really giving the support they're supposed to receive. Therefore, they're upset with Russia, and of course, they want to walk away or cut off their ties with Russia and maybe embrace the West or something of that sort. So this is not good news for Vladimir Putin. Now, that was the news on geopolitics and traditional finance. Let's get into crypto. And the thing is, FTX supporters such as Shaquille O'Neal are now, the authorities are looking for ways to reverse the payment that those celebrities that helped or support or advertise FTX, if they can reverse the payments and see if those payments can be now given back to those who have lost their money on FTX, which in my view is a very fair move. If you agree with that, please let me know in the comments below. If you don't agree, also let me know on the comments below. Now, the most important news I think for cryptocurrency on the G20 is that they are now having a framework for cryptocurrencies. And this framework is going to affect many countries such as Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, South Korea, Turkey, the United Kingdom, the United States, as well as other countries on the European Union. Now, what is this framework? Leaders of the 20 biggest economies in the world, collectively known as G20, are pushing for a speedy implementation of a cross-border framework for crypto assets. Now, what they want with this framework? The document was designed to give tax authorities greater visibility into crypto transactions as well as individuals behind them. Pretty much they want crypto transactions to be connected to extreme KYC or information of the sender and the receiver. Now, and they urge the regulators to forbid any activities hindering the identification of the involved participants among the recommendations, which mean they want to create a framework where any crypto transactions can be fully identified to the owner of the wallet. And that framework, they want to have it done by 2027, which is, I think, in my view, is very negative news for cryptocurrency. Now, that's my view. What is your view? Please let me know on the comments below. And with this, I wrap up this video. As I said, and as I promised, I will keep you guys informed as the things unfold on G20. So please, if you want to find out more, like, subscribe, and also click the notification bell so that you'll be notified the next time I make a video. This is it for today. See you guys on the next video.